I hear. Jessamine turned the tap back on to finish filling the mason jars. And thanks again for catering. From what I've sampled, it's all delicious. Everything Miss Amelia Kent makes is delicious. Andrew Marsh, Jessamine's administrative assistant, came over with his cheeks puffed out and telltale cookie crumbs on the collar of his shirt. Hey, you haven't broken into my catering containers, have you, Mosh? Amelia placed a hand on her hip, even though her big brown eyes showed amusement. And you only think everything is so delicious because you're not cultured enough to have sampled any other fine teas and delicacies. Andrew gave her a mock look of hurt. Hey, I consider pizza to be a fine delicacy, and I've had plenty of that. Jessamine rolled her eyes and ignored the bantering between Andrew and Amelia to turn her focus on finishing tasks for the upcoming watercolor painting class. Once the last of the mason jars were filled with water and set out along the tables, 2 per spot, as Gabriella's instructions specified, she looked over her printed to-do list. There wasn't too much more to complete, but she wanted everything to be absolutely perfect. Giving up her job as an art curator at an extravagant gallery in the heart of downtown Vancouver for a career change and long-distance move had been a tough decision. Owning an art center was a great way for her to share her love of painting and creating with her new community, and she was excited to work with many of the local artists of the surrounding Okanagan area. She needed the new pace of a simpler life, but it was still hard to let go of the go stride she was so used to. Wandering over to her one in-house teacher to go over the guest list one last time, she found that Molly Williams had already spread out the list over the front table in the foyer in her usual organized fashion. Hey, Molly, how does the guest list look? Molly looked up from behind her wire-framed glasses and tucked a loose strand of ash-blonde hair into her low ponytail. Excellent, Miss Rhodes. There aren't any mistakes on the guest list, and I have it organized for Andrew to check guests in as they arrive for the watercolor class. Perfect. Thank you again for doing this. It's part of my job, Miss Rhodes. Molly nodded at Jessamine and started to turn back to the guest list. You know you're welcome to call me Jessamine. Molly looked uncomfortable for a moment. I will see. I have always thought of work to be a place for formalities. Well, whatever makes you comfortable is fine with me. Molly nodded again and turned back to her task. Jessamine smiled to herself as she walked away. She'd never been one for formalities, but she did appreciate Molly's strong work ethic and knowledge of art. She had also appreciated Molly's knowledge of the people of Rose Shore. Since Jessamine barely knew anyone in her new town, she trusted Molly with deciding on whom to invite to their special first class. That afternoon would give her a chance to properly launch her new business and get to know her fellow Rose Shore residents. Gabriella's painting with watercolors art class was supposed to have started 10 minutes ago, but Jessamine couldn't find the teacher anywhere. The main classroom of the art center was filled with eager guests, and Jessamine tried to smooth over any impatience as she scurried around greeting everyone while simultaneously keeping one eye on the door for Gabriella. Well, what are you thinking we should do? Andrew caught Jessamine's elbow and led her out into the hallway. Molly tried calling Gabriella again, but there was no answer. Where is she? People are getting restless. Jessamine blew out a breath in frustration. All right, let's get Amelia to start serving the refreshments. We were going to put them out after the class, but maybe that'll buy us some time. I'll go make a little welcome speech while you help Amelia. Sounds like a plan. Good luck. Andrew gave her a good-natured salute. Jessamine split off from Andrew and headed toward the front of the classroom. She felt a strong case of the nerves, and she was definitely not looking forward to potentially having to cancel her opening art class. She or Molly could possibly try to wing it and teach the class themselves, but it wouldn't be the same. She took a moment to smooth out her royal blue wrap dress that swished just below her knees, a dress she picked out because Amelia had insisted the color perfectly brought out the highlights in her nutmeg French twist and matched her bright blue-green eyes. Now Jessamine took in a deep breath, looked out into the crowd, and caught her friend's gaze. Amelia gave a reassuring nod from the refreshment table, and it was all the extra courage she needed. Hello. Could I please have everyone's attention?